How's it going, YouTube? It's Lucas here from DVD205 channel, and today I have a video on what I've done to this. Now, what is this? Well, as you can tell, it's a Nikko Black Thunder. It doesn't say Nikko on the windshield anymore because the windshield does not exist. So, I started this project a while ago, mainly because I thought it would be kind of neat to kind of make an RC vehicle similar to the ways of Ampro Engineering, to where he has a bunch of 3D printed stuff and like an interior and lights and stuff like that, because I think it's cool. So what I've done is taken this Nikko Black Thunder and taken out the windshield, which was kind of difficult, and put in this interior. A completely 3D printed interior, and it took a long time to actually get everything to the way that I wanted it. It's not scale accurate because technically this is like an 80s body style Ford. It's just an interior I thought would look cool. I will eventually have to get myself to make the proper interior for it, which would be more scale and actually accurate to what the interior is on these. But it's that hard, so yeah, I don't really feel like it. If people want some of like an interior like this, I can probably actually get myself to make it more of like the Ford F-150s of the time, and actually, you know, make the files public. But that would be a lot of fine-tuning because there's quite a lot of work that needs to get this thing to fit in it. I mean, the tub fits pretty nicely and everything kind of fits nicely, but the dash is mainly the issue. So yeah, I took out also the rear but the rear headache rack, because we couldn't really have it there with this battery tray, which, as you might have seen, this thing has headlights now because I 3D printed little tiny light buckets, and there are two LEDs, both of them, I don't remember what color, I think they're white LEDs, in 4 LEDs in total. They're all wired up in some way, I don't really remember which way. It's all hooked up to this battery tray back here. Actually pretty nice LEDs, and they work pretty well. But my plan is, because the interior takes up a lot of space, and the Black Thunder and the Kicker have speakers in them, the Kicker actually has a little switch thing on the side here that I have to move too, but they used to have a pretty decent sized speaker in this space right here. There's a speaker here and a circuit board on top, and it took up a large majority of the cab, so I had to take out all of that to make it actually have an interior in here that goes deep enough that, you know, actually seems relatively neat, or relatively decently scale. But my plan is, since it's going to take a while to line up, my plan is to have a topper back here with the speaker and the circuit board here, and then it'll still have sound and stuff that works with the controller. Otherwise, it's kind of fine. The noises kind of get annoying after a while, but it'd still be nice to have the actual sounds and stuff. So, actually, moving on to the interior, well, or maybe the exterior, because you probably noticed something right away if you've seen these vehicles before. I cut off the front bumper. There used to be a massive front bumper that went pretty much as wide as the vehicle and went taller than the bumper, had a bunch of lights and stuff on it. Well, I mean, not really. I could bring the Kicker over here and show it, but I took that off right about here, just because the bumper still needed to hold up the front A-arms, or whatever these would be called, control arms. Took that off just to make it look a bit better, because I don't really much care for the like huge bumper that just kind of, I think, takes away from the vehicle a little bit. I mean, I think it would be hilarious to put a big, whatever. So, yeah, I guess now I can move on to the interior. This is completely painted orange. I thought it would be neat to have an orange interior because there are wacky colors and stuff on it, and very 80s themed, obviously. So it has a little steering wheel, not at an angle and not nearly as big enough for this type of vehicle. A bunch of dash features. There's a little radio and cages and stuff. I made it pretty decently detailed, but I did not make the dash nearly tall enough for what it should be. Like, it's kind of only like 10 millimeters tall, which it doesn't look great. Like, it needs to be taller. I made bench seats. It's all one, or it's technically 4 pieces that you have to glue together to get it to sit right. It looks kind of, I mean, the camera makes it smoother, but there's 3D printed elements on it. You can certainly tell it's 3D printed. It looks stitched. It looks like it's stitched that way, like if it would be full scale, but it isn't, so I just kind of left it that way, and smoothing that would be really hard. There is little interior door trays. They got little hand crank windows and door handles way up here for some reason. I don't know. I didn't really think of the placement too much, but there's supposed to be a little armrest thing here and a little pocket down here. And then in the rear there's 2 little tiny seats, one here and one here. Kind of like, if anyone's come across like an older Chevy S10 extended cab, they're like that seat. I was kind of thinking something like that because there's not much room between here and here to actually have a bench seat back there. So I just thought that would be a little bit, you know, kind of funny to have. Now see, the interior is actually just a big plate. This is some of the rafting that wouldn't go away. A big plate, or not a big plate, but kind of a big tub. It has 3 walls, and then the front is left. I was expecting to make this a little bit deeper, but I can't really with these body posts. And then the dash, and then everything kind of gets glued in there. Like, the door panels are a separate piece, and then the seats are a separate piece, and then, you know, the dash and everything gets glued on to where the windows would be up here. So, yeah, it's not too complicated. I'm sure someone could probably, you know, actually make it, or actually glue it together if they don't have much experience. And then the plate is also just glued onto the dash, and then the steering wheel is glued onto that. It was some Sharpie work to make it look as good as it does, but, you know, it still doesn't look great. The wiring was all one LED to another, to another, to another. It was a long time for soldering, but that, you know, there's lights now. The only problem is that there's some light bleed with the, you know, from stuff showing behind the LEDs. Although covered in hot glue, it kind of looks like underlighting or like rock lights. So I've just kind of kept it. I mean, it doesn't look great from the side, but it's good enough. I don't really think anyone's going to look too hard at it. So yeah, I still have to do a lot of work to it by making the topper and figuring out where to put the soundboard, soundboard and speaker. And then, you know, I might try to figure out a different rear axle because the pumpkin on this thing is huge. It's gotten really scraped up since I used it, which I actually do use this thing. So it, yeah, and I might put hobby grade ESC, or put hobby grade stuff in here, but the only problem with that is that I would need a different soundboard and stuff like that. So, just keeping it original. Like, I think I like the twin stick stuff, so I'm just probably gonna keep it like that. Yeah. So that's pretty much about it. The only reason I didn't use the kicker is because the kicker has a, well, I can show it. I would have used the kicker because I mean, this one was the first variant of this vehicle chassis that I, had. But another problem, or some problems, is that the engine rumble kind of takes out some space, which it could have probably worked around. I mean, it doesn't take up that much space, it just takes up space in the hood. But for LEDs, it would kind of be annoying to route around this. And then the main thing is the interior would be taken up mostly by the entire box that's behind this switch, which I could take out and just make it all the way on all the time, but that would get rid of the starting action, which I could integrate into the topper if I made one for this, but also I would have to figure out a way to cover up this. There is a massive sunroof on the top of it that is not on the Black Thunder because there's a big sticker covering it. So I might have to figure out some way of covering that up. If I make actually, as I just thought of that, make a pickup camper red, or make a pickup camper. That might be kind of neat. And extra skill points because there'd be a little camper that I can take the top of. But yeah, I might try to. I'd probably end up actually designing the scale accurate interior for this, and then figuring out a spot throughout the box, and then the speaker and stuff like that, because this thing still has lights and sounds. And yeah, I'll have to try to figure out how to fit that all together, finalize everything, and then I'd probably make the files public, because I don't know how many other people would want this, but I'm sure there's probably someone that would enjoy this. And yeah, it's fairly simple to do. I mean, aside from cutting out literally everything from the giant speaker box thing that's under there, and wiring up lights, which is not fun, but still. Yeah, and then once I finish that, I'll probably make an actual video on what this thing would look like. Still have to figure out what color interior I'd make it, which would probably be blue or yellow, and then, yeah, everything like that. Yeah, so that's about it for the interior of the Black Thunder, or Big Thunder, or I really don't know, because annoyingly this is not technically a Black Thunder, this is a Big Black Thunder or something of the sort, because the actual Black Thunder is a lot smaller. This is, I want to say 18 scale, 16 scale, probably 18 scale. I don't know. Either way, it's tiny, and it's a lot bigger than the original. And so is the kicker. The kicker is technically the big kicker. I don't know. So yeah, that's about the video on the interior for this. I'll probably end up making the video when everything's actually finished and ready and refined to just print out and slap in there. And then you'd have to do a lot of wiring, or like movement of wires, but yeah, whatever. So yeah, Lucas out. Bye, YouTube.